Ramble today. And yeah, I just feel like there's been so much going on in my life. And yeah, there's a lot to talk about. But first, I just want to give a little trigger warning / content warning. Not anything too extreme, but I am going to be talking about politics and a lot of political stuff, so if that is not something you are in the mood for or that you want to watch right now, I totally get that. I feel like I don't always, I want my channel to be a very relaxing, comforting space for people, and the current political climate can be very upsetting and triggering, so I don't really go there on this channel because, like I said, I want this to be a safe escape for people to help with anxiety and not cause more of it. So this is a little different than my normal videos. I am going to be going into more detail about my involvement with politics and stuff like that. So just throwing that out there, if you don't want to hear about current US and world affairs, pick a different video of mine. I don't really ever talk in depth about politics. This is the first time, so just throwing that out there. With that being said, I feel like all of my life updates have to do with politics because I've been very involved with everything that's been going on. Yeah, in my other than politics, I don't really have any huge updates. I've just been working and hanging out with friends and spending a lot of time with my husband and our dog. So yeah, there's not a ton of updates on that front. I feel I could think of stuff to ramble about, but y'all, what the hell is going on? Okay. Also, part 2 of my disclaimer is that I don't love labels, but I'm a leftist. So, well, I guess for you that's right. Well, it depends if I flip the video. Anyways, I am not conservative. I am extremely liberal. So if you are super conservative or whatever, you can obviously still watch. I'm not gonna, we all need to still be interacting, but I'm not going to tolerate any sort of hateful or aggressive comments on this video. If you comment something hateful or aggressive, I will just block you from my channel and you won't be able to be on my channel anymore. So yeah, obviously if you have a respectful opinion or whatever that it doesn't have any sort of hate behind it, you can leave a comment if you want, but I'm just warning you, I'm not here to debate politics. I do that enough in my normal life and on my personal social media accounts. This is meant to be a safe place, and I don't want to be debating politics with people who are on the right wing side, because we do not agree. So I'm just putting that out there as a disclaimer. So with all of that being said, it's been a struggle. It's been a struggle. I don't know if anyone watching, I know I have some viewers from other countries and stuff. But yeah, it's been a lot, y'all. I've been up and down. I've been a roller coaster of emotions. There have been days where I'm we are cooked. This is so bad. This is so terrible. This is so sad. I can't believe that this evil in humanity is winning me, and there are a lot of amazing people and activists and organizations that are fighting for what's right. And I have friends and family that are on my side. Again, I'm not trying to sound like polarizing, but just that are liberal and believe in what I believe in. But I also have some family members who are on the other side, and they're more conservative or like Republican or whatever. And that's been pretty difficult. Certain family members who are in my immediate family, we have opposite political views, and so that's hard. But yeah, it's been up and down. That's also, I feel like, why I haven't been filming as much lately, is because I've just been very, very busy and taken with everything that's happening. Since day one, and this is on purpose, like they've admitted this, like they're trying to flood the zone, and so it's a political strategy that the right is employing currently, which is to try to just overwhelm everyone, which is why you-know-who has signed so many executive orders and has said and done so many terrible, horrible, harmful, hateful things, is on purpose, because there's so many issues: climate, trans rights, gay rights, women's rights, DE&I, like there's so many things, and so he's just like attacking and blitzing them all so that everyone feels really overwhelmed, because when people feel overwhelmed, sometimes that leads them to inaction, like into not acting and not rising up. You know, you start to feel hopeless, you start to feel depressed, you start to feel scared, and so you just kind of shell up and like don't do anything about it, and then they win because then they have control over everyone. So it is on purpose. They want everyone to feel overwhelmed. They want everyone to feel like there's no point in trying. They want everyone to feel like everyone agrees with them. That's a big thing with all of this, is they purposely try to make it look and sound like, well, most of the country agrees with us, so we're right and you're wrong, and we're winning and you're losing, which is not actually the case. But yeah, so it's been extremely overwhelming because of all the stuff that they're doing. So I feel like I've been vocal in my life, and over the past like 5-ish years, I've definitely gotten more vocal, and I've gotten more strong in what I believe in, and I've found like my beliefs, but I've never been this involved. Something about this time, which I'm like kicking myself, because I'm like, I wish I was just always this involved, but whatever, I need to just move forward. This time I was like, if I don't start getting involved in doing stuff, I'm gonna be so depressed, I'm gonna literally like die. Like that's what I felt like. So I was like, okay, I need to fight this, I need to rise up, and I need to be a part of the resistance, and I need to just try, because I would rather die one day knowing I lived my life trying to fight for true freedom and liberation for all, trying to fight for human and civil rights, trying to fight for equal rights. Like, I will know that I tried, even if this whole conservative cultural thing keeps happening throughout my life. Like, I will know that I tried, versus just like sitting on my couch, like scrolling, doom scrolling, and like complaining and being depressed. So something in me just kind of flipped this time, like a switch flipped, where I was like, I need to get involved. Like I said, I was kind of involved before, like starting in 2020 with Black Lives Matter and George Floyd's murder and all of that, but like then I definitely like teetered off and got wasn't like going in person and volunteering or getting really involved or anything like that. So this time I'm just like, I cannot sit idly by while these Christian nationalist right-wing conservatives try to literally rig, and the billionaires, because they're teaming up, it's the Christian nationalists and the billionaires that just have formed this little relationship where they just help each other out by deceiving the people. And by the way, I'm not coming at you if you are a Christian. I'm saying Christian nationalist, which is a different vibe of Christian. It's people who think everyone should be Christian and they will stop at nothing to make that reality, aka trying to put the Bible and the Ten Commandments in public schools. So just putting that out there, I'm not saying all Christians are bad, but Christian nationalism is terrible. So anyways, I'm just like, I cannot sit idly by while this happens. They already overturned Roe v. Wade. They are actively coming after women's rights and women's reproductive freedom. And now, like, they've rolled back DEI. They're attacking DE&I. They're attacking trans people, trying to erase them and make them not exist, which isn't a thing, okay? Because trans people have always existed since the beginning of time, and they will always exist because it's a natural thing that some people are born with. And they're trying to come after gay rights. All these Republican representatives in different states are trying to, like, literally come after gay marriage at the federal level, which we knew was going to happen, and they tried to gaslight us to say what wouldn't happen, and now it's happening, just like they gaslit about Roe v. Wade. Anyways, and then they've pulled out of like every climate agreement. They're attacking public lands and national parks. Like, the list goes on and on. Like, I could truly go through every single issue and why it's bad and why I'm upset. And then of course immigration. There's so much going on, but my point being is that I've decided, like, I want to be involved. I want to fight for what's right. So that's why I've been so, like, busy and not filming as much, and I've just been, like, I've been kind of entering a new season of life, I feel like, where I am just much more informed. I'm, like, seeking out information about every issue. I'm reading tons and tons of articles. I'm trying to seek out trusted, reputable sources and voices and journalists and, people on social media, like the whole gamut. And I'm volunteering, trying to get involved and volunteer with organizations. So I've been getting involved with the ACLU, the American Civil Liberties Union, and Planned Parenthood, and certain organizations that are just in Colorado as well. And then, like, some women's foundations that are in Colorado. And I went to a lobby day with the ACLU where I went to our state capitol and I lobbied senators and House representatives about certain bills that were, introduced, that were going through the House and the Senate. And I've never done something like that before in my life. That was crazy. Like, I was in the state capitol, like, lobbying and, like, talking to representatives. It was so cool. Like I said, I've never done something like that. Really quick, I want to reapply. So, yeah, that was like an all-day event that I did with the ACLU, and it was so cool, and it was so nice to just be around like-minded people. That was very invigorating, and I'm hoping to do more with them and get was like a experiment, like tester. And I did one, and I surpassed my goal by like 300% or something. So that was like so cool and so rewarding. I've never done something like that before. And yeah, I just like shared it on my social media and like sent it to a bunch of family and friends, and then I would share it, but I would also share like education about like what Planned Parenthood does and like why we need abortion rights and why reproductive rights are important, and yeah, just would like try to educate and also then like provide the link for the fundraiser. And I was so blown away and just like touched by the people in my communities that donated, like friends, family members, people I haven't talked to in a long time. It was so cool. And like I said, I raised like way over my goal, which was like, I was not expecting that. So that was really amazing, and I want to keep getting involved with them even more. And then I've been attending a lot of like virtual like calls and meetings with the Working Families Party, which is basically a third party political party in the US that stands for the working people and the working families instead of the billionaires. So I've been attending calls and like doing stuff, a little bit of stuff with them, and then I've been attending calls with like the ACLU, and there's just like different organizations that will put on like virtual calls. So I've been trying to like do some of those every week because it just helps like keep me in the loop and keep me informed and keep me connected to others. And then I've been attending in-person meetings to talk about and help combat the mass deportations that are happening in the US right now, and the anti-immigration bills and just like toxic anti-immigration ideology that's spreading. So I've been involved with that with a couple different organizations. There's like the Colorado Immigrant Rights Coalition. There's the Party of like Socialism and Liberty, like different organizations in Colorado that put on these meetings for immigrant rights. So I've been going to those, and then I also have been doing like flyering and postering, like hanging up information about knowing your rights. If you encounter ICE, like knowing your rights, because fun fact, all immigrants, documented or undocumented, are protected under the US Constitution, and they have legal rights, obviously. But many ICE officials and people are very predatory and will like not tell them their rights and try to trick them and all of that kind of stuff. So there's been a lot of education lately in the past few months of like teaching people their rights. Like, you don't have to consent to a search. They need a warrant signed by a judge. You don't need to talk. You can your right to remain silent, like not to open your door, because then they can take that as an invitation to come in. Asking, am I being detained and why? Like, just the basic rights that everyone should know, like everyone regardless of immigration status in the US, like you should know your rights, because if you ever did get arrested or questioned or whatever, like you have certain rights that you need to invoke and like say out loud, because sometimes if a authority or whatever like doesn't honor your rights, but you're like reciting them, and then it catches it on their body cam like later in court, it can help you because you were like trying to invoke your rights and they weren't listening. So it's really a good thing for everyone to know. But yeah, I've been involved with like trying to help inform and educate on, knowing your rights and things like that. So yeah, I've been really busy, but it's been like really good. Like, it has helped me feel less hopeless and feel more hopeful. I was talking to a friend today on FaceTime, and because I'm also being very vocal, like on Instagram, because I feel like that's one of the ways that I can help spread information and education is through Instagram and social media, because I grew up in a predominantly white suburb. I went to school in a predominantly white university and like area in Nebraska, so I feel like I have a lot of like white middle class, like it's kind of a homogeneous following that I have like on my Instagram just from my life throughout the years. So I feel like it's an easy way that I can, speak to a group of people that need to be spoken to and like educated about certain things that they might not know, or they might forget, or they might be victims of misinformation and like propaganda. So yeah, I've been very vocal on my personal like social media pages. So anyways, the friend I was talking to today was like, talking about how vocal I've been and all of that. Oh, and then I've been like going to rallies and marches and protests and stuff. And she was like, are you overwhelmed? Like how are you doing? Like, I can see you're doing a lot, and I just wanted to check in and see like how you're doing. And I was like, thank you. Like, sometimes it is super overwhelming. Sometimes I am like totally overwhelmed, but I actually have found that being involved and like reading more and like educating myself and volunteering and like being in the resistance has helped me feel less overwhelmed and less anxious and less depressed and less scared, which I feel like I always used to think it was the opposite. Like, I always used to get really overwhelmed, so then I would just avoid everything and like stop reading the news. I would stop going on social media. I would not be involved, and I would just be like, I'm protecting my mental health. I need a break. But what I've actually found is that being involved and being educated and like being informed and connecting with others and like volunteering and doing these things that are helping has actually it's not made me more overwhelmed, it's made me less overwhelmed. It's like a weird, like I would think that reading articles would make me feel worse, but actually whenever I sit down and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna look into this, and I read a bunch of articles and I feel like I actually know what's happening, I feel less overwhelmed and less anxious and like less scared. So yeah, that's been like a really interesting finding of mine through all of this, is that sometimes like leaning into it more and getting involved actually helps alleviate some of the stress and anxiety. I think the problem where most people get overwhelmed is just from scrolling on like Instagram or TikTok or whatever. That's my theory, is that most people right now are feeling really overwhelmed because everyone's on social media all the time, and it can seem like a lot when you're just scrolling and every single post is a depressing reel or a depressing video or picture talking about all this stuff they're doing and how it's so scary and so depressing, and then you like put your phone down and like avoid it, and you're like, that's so overwhelming. Then you're just like carrying the overwhelm with you. Whereas for me, I have felt like I still feel that way. Like I still sometimes am scrolling and I'm just like, oh my god, like what is going on? But then I'm like, okay, I either need to take a break, or why don't I just focus on one issue right now and like read up on it and like research it, or like why don't I put the phone down and just like go get involved with like an organization or other people, either in person or virtually, and then I just feel like it helps, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's been taking up a lot of my life lately, so objectively horribly wrong. And for the record, fun fact is that I used to be extremely conservative and religious. Yeah, I've never, like, I don't really get this personal on my channel normally, because like I said, I like for it to be kind of like an escape, but I grew up in a Fox News Republican household, and I was also forced into the Catholic Church, and there's a lot there. I'm very traumatized by my church experience, but back when I was in it, I was like, went through a really religious phase where I was like super religious, like super Catholic, super Christian, which is so funny because it's just so not me. I'm just so not a conservative person. I've always been. It's funny, me and my friend were also talking about this, because even she was like, yeah, even in your religious phase, because we've been friends since childhood, she's like, you've never actually been a conservative person. You were always very like feminist and like liberated and free, and like I'm like, she's like, so it was so weird when you were like religious, because then you also were like not at the same time. And I was like, yeah, I know, I was confused is what I was. But anyways, I was super religious when I was younger, and I was like conservative up until college, because I mean, I was indoctrinated and brainwashed in the environment I grew up in. And then when I went to college, I like actually started like learning about the world, and I wasn't living in a house where my parents were forcing me to watch Fox News with them and like repeating the crazy conspiracy theory, like literal false lies that Fox News like touts. Once I got out of that environment and was like exposed to life and other people and learning and education and history, and like I was like, whoa, wait a second. And it didn't happen overnight. It was like a slow transition. But throughout college, I got more and more like liberal, and then and by the way, the argument of like professors in college turns people liberal, it's brainwash. I'm like, no bitch, I just finally was learning like actual history and actually like how the world works outside of my like white privileged suburban upbringing. You know, like, it's funny because I feel like when people actually learn and they become like woke and like have these realizations about the world and about life, that's like when they become like leftist or liberal. And it's just funny that the right is like calls that brainwash, because I'm like, no, that's just what happens when you learn real information after being brainwashed to be conservative your whole life. Anyways, so yeah, I became more and more like liberal throughout college, and then I studied abroad in Spain because I was a double major and one of them was Spanish. And looking back, I'm like, that really did push me more and more to the left, even though I didn't realize it at the time. But that was the first time in my life that I had ever been a minority. I don't know why I air quoted, like, but yeah, that was literally the first time I was ever a minority, was when I lived in Spain, like, barely knowing the language. I mean, I could like get by, but I wasn't like totally fluent, but I like spoke Spanish, but they could tell the minute I started talking that I was an English speaker. And we obviously, like, I looked American, I'm like super tall, I'm 5'10", and I was still highlighting my hair back then, so I was like super blonde, super tall, like I did not look Spanish. That was the first time in my life that I was like other, and it was very impactful and profound. And it sounds so stupid because we should be teaching our kids this type of empathy anyways, but it was like a real like realization of like, oh, this is how people feel every single day when you walk into a room and you can tell that everyone's looking at you because they know you don't look like them or you don't speak their language or whatever it is. And I love Spain. I loved my experience. Most of the people were amazing, but sometimes we'd be trying to speak Spanish and like people there would be like annoyed and they'd be like trying to speak English back to us, and we'd be like, well, actually no, we're students, we need to practice the language, can we please speak Spanish? And they would be like rude and annoyed at us and like our crappy Spanish, and that was not a good feeling. Like just having people treat you different and be rude and be annoyed at you because you're not like from there. That was the first time I ever experienced that in my life. I mean, obviously I grew up in a mostly white suburb and then went to school in Nebraska, like, so that was, and then also just like living in another culture and speaking another language, like, and we did a lot of traveling and we went to Morocco, and like I've always loved other cultures and other languages and other people and other places in the world, but that was the first time I actually got to experience it and live it firsthand. So I feel like looking back, that was an extremely transformative time in my life. And then the real kicker was after college, I went back to Illinois and lived in Chicago, like in the city, and that was when I fully like became leftist, whatever you want to call it. Because yeah, like living in a city surrounded by different types of people and like seeing and living firsthand just the experience of like an urban city and the different neighborhoods and the different people and the public transportation and the different issues and the different, like, you just get exposed to a different type of life than what I grew up in the suburbs, in the like privileged suburbs. So anyways, that was like a total ramble, but all of that to say, and then throughout the years I just get more and more left. Literally every day that I live, I feel like I get more and more like left, but I have been on both sides, and I've been a conservative, I've been a Republican, I've been religious, and I do feel like that gives me more maybe like credibility, because I'm like, I know what they think, I know what they say, I know their comebacks, I know their arguments, like I know it because I lived it and I was that. So yeah, like it's not like I was like raised by some super liberal parents and I'm just brainwashed. Like, no, I fought my way here through seeking out like truth and compassion and empathy and like learning real history and listening to other people's voices, listening to Black and brown voices and their experiences and what they say and what they think, learning about history and what actually has happened in this country throughout history, learning about the rest of the world, learning about imperialism, colonization, fascism. Like, I feel like the smarter and more informed I get, the more leftist I become, because you realize like just like the lie that is spun to just keep the same type of people in power, just white conservative rich men in power, and to do that they use things like religion or making people hate other people, like making people hate immigrants, making people hate trans people. It's all a little decoy so that they can just continue to be in power and be richer and richer and richer. Again, I could go on and on about this and like the actual issues themselves, but I'm trying to keep it a little more broad since this is meant to be a life update. That's been honestly taking up like most of my brain power, has been everything that's happening, because it's not something we can just sit around and watch happen. we need to rise up and try to stop it, because it's already harming people. Them defunding USAID is already killing people, like, around the world. Them firing so many federal employees that we literally need and needed. It's like immediately negatively impacting those organizations and those agencies. They're denying trans people recognition, him saying there's two genders, male and female, and now trans people are having their passports denied, and they're having their forms of identification, like, using their sex assigned at birth. Like, they're erasing all this information and history from all of the government websites. They've laid off a ton of public and public lands and national park workers. Like, these things are like imminently dangerous and happening, and people are impacted right now from it. It's not like I have a family member who is on that side, and last time we talked she was like, well, we'll see, like, let's just see, we'll see in 4 years if things are better. Then he was right, and if they, I'm like, what are you talking about? We'll see. People are dying and having their rights stripped away. And that, my friend, is privilege, because that person is a white woman who, even though she is going to be directly impacted by a lot of the things that are happening, she's like in denial and thinks that like she won't be impacted. And so she's like, well, let's just wait and see. And I'm like, you could not say a more ignorant, privileged thing right now than let's wait and see. There's no waiting and seeing. They're doing bad, harmful things, and people are already feeling the effects and suffering from it. Like, what do you mean we'll wait and see? You want to wait and see until gay marriage is overturned at the federal level, like Roe v. Wade was? Like, what are you talking about? We'll wait and see. There's no waiting and seeing. We need to take action. So yeah, I have been just trying to fight the good fight and stand up for what I believe in and be vocal in my communities and in my circles, online, in real life. Like, that's, I feel like one pillar is being vocal in my circles and my communities. And that's important because, like I said earlier, I feel like, you know, I'm in a mostly privileged white, like, that's a lot of my, like, circles, if you will. And I feel like talking about things and raising awareness and education around issues can help and hopefully educate and impact some of those people. So in real life and online, I'm trying to be really vocal, spread information, spread knowledge, spread education, spread, you know, good awareness of what's going on and why it's bad and how things work and stuff like that. And then that's like the easiest thing. But then the next step is like being involved with organizations, going to events, you know, calling my representatives. That's something that people can do that's actually really easy. That sounds scary. Then when you do it, you realize it's not, is calling your representatives. You can look at 5 calls. They're like on Instagram, but they break down like what the number is and then what to say and like a little script for you. So there's a ton of resources online that make calling representatives actually really easy and straightforward. So yeah, being an advocate in my inner circles and communities, being active, calling representatives, you know, trying to be active in organizations like ACLU, Planned Parenthood, local organizations, like whatever it is. I feel like those are the 2 like main pillars of what I'm trying to do in my life, to fight for what I believe in and try to help the world, the country, humanity, civil rights, human rights, all of that. So yeah, other than that, I just talked for 42 minutes about politics. But other than all of that, like I said, not much new in my life. Me and my husband have been exercising and trying to eat better and just like get a little healthier. So that's been really fun, and we've been really enjoying that together. Going to the gym and stuff, and like, you know, trying to eat well. And I feel like those are the two biggest things in my life. I don't know when this will be posted, but I am going to Costa Rica for like a little vacation soon, so I'm really excited for that trip. I've never been to Costa Rica before, and I'm so excited. I went to Guatemala last year, and I just love Central and South America. So yeah, I'm really excited, and I'm gonna get to use my Spanish. I've been trying to get my Spanish back. I guess that's another life update. I've been going to some intercambios, and I do Duolingo and stuff, but I'm trying to like really get my Spanish back because I feel like I lost it, you know, after college, and like my job doesn't require Spanish, and no one in my life really speaks Spanish. Although now I'm trying to change that. I'm trying to like have friends that also speak Spanish, but yeah, I've been trying to get my Spanish speaking back and just improve it. But I feel like that's it. I have a bachelorette in Nashville that I'm going to in a couple months. Bachelorette party for a friend. And then this summer we have her wedding, and I'm a bridesmaid, so I'm really excited for that. And then, yeah, just been going to therapy every week. That's been a lifesaver during all of this crazy, like, political stress and anxiety. My therapy has really helped a lot in keeping me sane and just like helping me work through a lot of my feelings. So I feel like I'm forgetting something. I've been skiing because it's been ski season in Colorado, so I've been skiing. But yeah, I feel like that's it. I really want to get another tattoo because I have, you know, my two that I've shown you all these before, and I want to get another one. So I'm like patiently waiting. I want my tattoo artist to have a cancellation, and then sometimes she'll like post on her story if she has a cancellation, and then you can DM her and try to get the spot. That's what happened last time when I got my cozy cabin. So I'm hoping she has a cancellation soon so I can swoop in because I want another tattoo. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Like I said, I will not tolerate any hate or like toxicity in my comments, so please keep it to yourself if you have something aggressive to say. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed. I know this was like a lot of politics, but that has kind of been a lot of what I've been doing in my life. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed my little life update. Maybe I can do another video soon and make it more fun life update, like what I've been listening to, like podcasts, music, TV, stuff like that. Because I also have been just like trying to live a normal life and like remain, like keep joy in my life and not let it just like ruin my life with all the politics stuff. So yeah, maybe I'll do like another like lighthearted update soon. But yeah, I hope you have an amazing day or night, and I will see you again next time.